Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Good. Thank you for being patient. We had a sold-out crowd, which is so amazing for a nonprofit, and I'm so appreciative. Yeah, let's give it a round of applause. I'm so appreciative for everybody being here today, so thank you for giving me a couple minutes. Just make sure we can get everybody in. I joke, but I really hate turning anybody away from the arts, so if there's a seat to be had, we like to give it away. Welcome back to Montclair Film StorySLAM. I'm Jennifer Cambris. I'm the Director of Production and Special Projects at Montclair Film. Storytelling is an integral part of the Montclair Film mission, and we're thrilled to be back in person hosting this monthly storytelling night. We've announced the next two events in February and March, so I hope you'll consider coming back as a storyteller or as an audience member the last Thursdays of the month. The next two themes will be Learning Love on Thursday, February 23rd, and As Luck Would Have It on Thursday, March 30th. Before I introduce you to your host tonight, I have some announcements and housekeeping notes for you. First and foremost, the bar is open tonight. The most important thing. It will be open throughout tonight's performance, so feel free to grab a drink in between speakers and during deliberation. As many of you know, we have renovated and are now operating the Claridge Theater across the street, which is a nonprofit cinema. Thank you. Let's give it a round of applause. How excited are we that the Claridge is back? It's a nonprofit cinema showing films year-round. As a nonprofit film and education organization, we do rely on our members to provide us with support, and your membership does extend not only to classes, the film festival, and our special programs, but it also gives you discounts on tickets and concessions year-round at the Claridge, so it is so worth getting that membership. Thank you to our current members for your continued support year-round, and if you'd like to join us as a member, you can visit us at montclairfilm.org. Coming up at the Claridge, you can catch many of this year's Oscar-nominated films and all of the best new releases, including our Oscar Shorts programs. Where's Rebecca? Is she over there? She's probably hiding. Rebecca is our Shorts programmer and our program manager for the festival, and she is incredible. So she's actually brought a lot of these shorts to us already, and now we're bringing them back to the Claridge. Also, we usually do a Claridge Classics, so in February, we'll be celebrating Black voices throughout the month in February. You can check that out at theclaridge.org. Tomorrow, we're excited to welcome back Montclair Improv Comedy, our friends who have not been back in this space since 2020, which is so sad. But they'll be performing in this space tomorrow at 8 p.m. If you're interested in checking it out, you can get tickets at montclairfilm.org. This past Wednesday, the Claridge hosted its first BYOB, Bring Your Own Baby, that's right, matinee for parents to have a space where they can come and watch new releases that are not kids' movies. With their child. So we turned the lights up a little, we turned the sound down just a touch, and we provide stroller parking and changing areas. It was wildly successful. So we will be doing it again next month on Wednesday, February 22nd at 10 a.m. If you have any friends who are in the middle of paternity leave or stay-at-home parents looking to get out of the house, I highly recommend it. And then finally, please just note our fire exits on your left and your right, and our restrooms are on your left and outside of the door. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to your host for the evening, Duncan Miller. He's our storytelling teacher and coach here at Montclair Film. A former actor and improviser who has performed with the Second City and Improv Olympic in Chicago. He studied theater at Ithaca College and has performed at various theaters and festivals in New York City, Chicago, and Baltimore prior to earning his master's degree in education. Currently, he is a high school teacher in Newark where he performs to a sold-out audience of high schoolers every day. Please welcome Duncan Miller.
Thank you, Jennifer. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. Cheesy jokes are my specialty, but I will spare you. Tonight, I will. Thank you for being here. The first slam of 2023. Wow. Beautiful faces. Thank you. We are going to go through our judges, our rules, and our theme, so you have no questions, and you can sit back and enjoy the ride. Before we do that, raise your hand if you have been to a slam here before. Wonderful. Round of applause. Welcome back. Who has never been to a Montclair Film StorySLAM? Please, show of hands. Woo! Veterans, let's give them a round of applause. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Even two of our judges as well. Very exciting. All right, speaking of judges, we have three illustrious judges here in the front that we need to meet. They are not only community members, but industry professionals, so we're very lucky to have the three of you here tonight. They will help us with our deliberation. At the end, there will be three winners, the coveted Montclair Film swag. Get ready, storytellers. It's fresh. All right, let's meet our three judges here tonight. Our first up is Ben Donnellan. Welcome, Ben. Ben specializes in social advocacy documentaries and satirical narratives. He was cinematographer and editor on the feature documentary The Revival of Jewish Poland, which won the Best Doc Feature for the Los Angeles Cinema Festival of Hollywood and was an honorable mention at the International Film Awards in Berlin. In 2016, Ben shot and edited the documentary Una Vida, Dos Países, which was featured in the New York Times and continues to be taught in select New York City public schools. Ben directed the New York Film Critics series and is also co-founder of the nonprofit The Film Shop, which currently has chapters in New York, New Orleans, and Los Angeles. Let's give Ben a round of applause. Welcome, Ben. Our next judge is Mary Amato. Mary's a Montclair Film StorySLAM veteran and an award-winning author of over 25 books, a story and manuscript coach, and the co-founder and director of Firefly Shadow Theater, a company that explores storytelling through cut paper, light, and the human body. Her work has been translated into foreign languages, optioned for television, and produced on stage, and she teaches popular workshops on writing and the creative process around the country. Locally, she also teaches art at the Montclair Art Museum up the street and songwriting at In Tune in Maplewood. Welcome, Mary. Let's give her a round of applause. Our third and final judge tonight is Emily Zinn. Let's give her a round of applause. She's a New York transplant to here in Montclair from nearly 30 years ago and a long storied career in entertainment. She helped to launch the first made-for-cable TV movies for the USA Network. She was part of the launch team that brought CMT and Nickelodeon to the global marketplace. And she first introduced The Moth, which she worked on as a small cable network called Trio. Yes, give it a pop to The Moth. And they produced the first televised version of The Moth, that storytelling series. Emily went on to later lead communications for Bravo, where she launched several award-winning franchises, including Real Housewives, Project Runway, Top Chef, and then at Travel Channel, she balanced the storytelling of Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations with the investigations of The Ghost Adventures. Today, Emily works her dream job, leading external global corporate communications for, I'm so jealous, Godiva. She oversees the Lady Godiva Initiative, the chocolatier's signature social impact initiative, which supports women empowerment around the world. She's also getting her PhD in chocolate. Let's give a round of applause for all three judges. Thanks for being here. Now that we know who's in charge, let's get the rules of engagement. 6 minutes, storytellers. You have 6 minutes on the clock. The lovely Jennifer, straight back in the white blouse, will give you your signage. She'll let you know with a green folder that you are halfway through. A yellow folder, you have 1 minute left. And the red folder, we're not going to yank you off like the Apollo. You are done time, so please pay attention to that lovely lady in the back. The number one rule is to be on theme. We're excited for whatever you're going to bring, comedy, drama, something in between. This is a friendly competition, and we want everybody to do their best. Just a heads up, there is no intermission tonight. So I hope you have your dry January beverages ready to go. Hope you have your little snackies ready and unwrapped, because we're going straight through. We have 9 excellent storytellers tonight. Tonight's theme is the greatest gift. Amidst the whirlwind of the holidays we've just gone through and the beginning of this hopefully wonderful new year, we have gifts, we have resolutions, we have things we have committed to, and things that we didn't know we needed. Storytelling is the backbone of our community here. It's also kind of a reflection of who we are as humans. And so when we get a fresh start, like a new year, an unexpected surprise, or even a really off-putting, non-ironic, ugly sweater from that aunt or uncle who think they still know you, we want to hear about those stories. So please, get ready to welcome our storytellers, because tonight we're going to hear about unexpected gifts that turned out to be the greatest things we didn't know we needed. Let's welcome our first storyteller of the evening. Please give it up for Claire Donahue. Welcome, Claire.
My name is Claire Donahue, and this is my favorite Valentine. In 2012, I was working in a Boston public school. I was teaching 1st through 3rd graders in a special ed classroom, and the school had been deemed a turnaround school. What that meant was that we really struggled on standardized testing, and that though we had really wonderful families, they didn't have a lot in terms of financial resources. So our students struggled academically and, truthfully, socially as well. In my small class of 9 kids, they struggled with reading, they struggled with writing, they struggled with math, they struggled with making friends. They were obsessed with things being fair. There was one day where one student in my class managed to throw all of the books in the classroom library on the floor because I gave him the wrong strawberry. So, Valentine's Day was coming up, and naturally it was important to lay out the rules of Valentine's Day. We went with, there are no best friends in class, there are no boyfriends in class, there are no girlfriends in class. If you are bringing a Valentine for one person, you will bring them for everybody, and we will all have a great day. This year, it also happened to be that Valentine's Day was the Friday before February break, so we were all in a really good mood. We decided as a school that we should celebrate by having it be Pajama Day to make everyone a little bit more comfortable. I walked into my classroom, ready for a good day. Students' names have been changed for the sake of the story, but Andy walks in, big smile on his face, so proud, and he announces, "Hey, teacher, I have lollipops for the boys and boxes of chocolates for the girls." I sighed, exasperated, and said, "My darling, we have talked about this. Everyone has to have the same. Boxes of chocolates and lollipops, those are not the same. We're gonna have to figure something out here." And he looked at me, exasperated, and said, "Teacher, everyone knows girls get chocolates on Valentine's Day." I began to think of a response back, and as I'm looking around the classroom, I am realizing that everyone, boys and girls alike, are nodding along with him. No one bat an eye or threw an elbow over something that I thought was a pretty major difference. I decided to let it slide, which was a good thing because Ricky was coming in right behind them. Ricky was the student who got a little frustrated about that strawberry incident I told you about, and Ricky, on a good day, was a really lovely kid who wanted nothing more than to sit and listen to a story. But on rough days, he had a rough time. He walks in with a sly smile and says, "Hey, teacher, I got you a Valentine." I buckled up. I said, "Okay, let's see it." He proudly walks in, takes out of his backpack a piece of paper and a box of chocolates. But unlike the ones that Andy had brought in, there was no red cellophane wrapping around this box of chocolates. There was no seal. My guess was he'd gotten a little hungry on the bus. Don't blame him, that's fine. Maybe he had one, maybe he had all 4. We would find out. He hands it to me and says, "Open it, open it." So I said, "Okay." I open it up, and I hope I managed to suppress a giggle when I saw a Crunch bar that had been broken up into several pieces. I said, "Oh, my love, tell me all about this." He says, "Well, my brother's girlfriend, she got me that box of chocolates. She is so nice and so beautiful and so smart, and I love her so much." I said, "Oh, that's great." He said, "And those chocolates were so good." I said, "Oh, that's wonderful." He said, "Okay, so I thought I should get you something." So I told my brother, I said, "Go to the store, get a Crunch bar for my teacher. Not the bunch of Cruncha, they're no good. Get the Crunch bar." And he comes back, and it didn't fit. And so I said, "That's okay, we have equal parts, break it," and then it fit. I said, "Oh, you are so smart." He said, "I wrote you a card, too." Now, this was a treasure. Ricky did not write anything that he did not have to. Ricky did not write anything that I did not beg him to write. And I said, "Oh, let me see this card." The thing about Ricky's writing was that it very rarely said what you thought it said. So I said, "Can you please read me this beautiful writing?" He said, "Yes." That says "I," because it's from me. Then I wrote "love," because Valentine's. And then I wrote "Kix," because I just love that cereal. It's so sweet. "Have you ever had it?" I said, "Yes, I have." "You are right, it is sweet." That is just wonderful. The rest of the day, to my memory, passed relatively uneventfully, which is a blessing in and of itself. And shortly after February break, I got a call from Ricky's mom. She was mortified. She had not been around when the Valentine's Day gift was being procured, and she wanted me to know that had she been around, it would have been a very different present. And And I told her that she didn't need to worry, that it was my best Valentine's Day ever. And truthfully, what those kids gave me that day was a reason to think of them every single year on February 14th. This year they will be 17, 18, and 19, and I hope the world has continued to be good for them, and I will think of them fondly on Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Yes, keep it going for Claire. Oh. Certainly biased, but are there any other teachers, teaching assistants, anybody else in the room? Raise your hand. No? Yes? Yes, thank you for your service. We appreciate you. I don't have any nice Valentine's stories as a teacher. Maybe this year. No, it's okay. High schoolers, very angry at me. First period, very grumpy. It's all right, we get through it. Awesome. Great way to start. Thank you so much. Let's keep it going. Let's welcome to the stage Claire. Claire was here. Angela Mullins. Give it up for Angela.
I usually have this routine for my commute. I pull out of my driveway in reverse, go left, hit the intersection, go straight after making a left. Then I hit my main road to go on my way. I look left, right, left, right, left, right, and then I turn. And at that point, I'm all settled, I'm good. I plug in my earbuds and I start making my phone calls. But my main number one call over the last 10 years was to my mentor. So my mentor was this blonde tornado of a person who had the clearest bell of a voice, but also like sounded like a truck driver in the office. And every time she came in, it was like the Kool-Aid man, oh yeah! And you could hear her coming around the corner and this energy and this force and this presence. And so it was quite startling, and you're new on the job and she's like, yeah! And you're like, okay. And so, but it was something at first sight. It was something. But she is such a presence. She became such a support to me. She started out as a mentor. She became a friend. And eventually she really was my family. And she saw me through so many things on our job, being new assignments, getting your own footing. And then as years went by, it went from junior to more experienced and just navigating. And then it was being pregnant on the job, having a baby, after having a baby, coming back and being a working mom, and a third of your brain is gone. And she's like, you're totally fine. And she's like, you can do this. And she's like, half these people don't even know what you can handle and what you're doing. And she's like, you got this. So just all the mantras. And she was just, I'm a straight line, but she was a straight arrow that pierced into your soul, pierced through bullshit, pierced through everything, and just with intention and honesty and clarity and conviction. And she was a force. And so she's always been such a blessing. And all these calls, when I would hit that left, right, left, right, left, right turn, was such a constant and consistent thing. And our conversations span like, what are you working on today? Are you going to see you in the office? This, that, whatever, and things with our family. And it was really wonderful. And like I said, a lot of landmarks of my time after the baby, and then into years later, divorce, and then dating again, weeks, and online and all that. She was there for that. And just everything she told me is like, just remember, she's like, is your kid happy? Is your kid healthy? Are you happy? Are you healthy? And all the rest can just go out the window and F anybody else who messes with you. So I treasured all of this time and these talks. And there came one day where I reversed, left, intersection, left, straight, left, right, turn. And I went to connect, and I couldn't. Because she was gone. There had been an unforeseen, untimely, way too soon kind of tragic incident with medical mishaps, and she was gone. No more chit-chats. No more constant. No, she was there, in my heart, her voice, which was always so booming, was in my head and with me. And all the things that she said that crossed every kind of spectrum, from the deep stuff, and you've got this, and don't worry about it, and you're solid, and you're amazing, to common sense is not common, and don't ever take the top plate. So I took all of it in, and I appreciate all of it, and I embraced it. And the hardest thing at that point was to go from thinking of her as she was. She was too big of everything to go past she is, but it was that she was. And that concept broke a lot of us and hurt my heart and others. So I always value, I treasure her. She's with me. She's the voice in my head. I constantly talk to her all the time. I hit that left, right turn, and I always am thinking of her when that happens. So there was one day where I was getting ready for work, some months ago, and my phone needed an update, and I'm a tech person, but I was ignoring it as a nuisance, and I'm doing all this stuff, clearing caches to make sure it works. I'm updating, doing this. And touchscreens, you double tap, you don't know what you've done with something. So I look in this app, and it's like, clear this, do this, whatever. And then I double tap something, and then there's suddenly some archive folder that comes up, and I'm like, what is this? And I look down, and I see her name, and it's a voicemail from 3 weeks from before she passed. So 11 seconds. Hi, Ange. Missed your call. I was walking the dog, left my phone in the house. You know the reception over here. Give me a call back soon. And can't wait to chat. Talk soon. So I would have given anything to hear her voice again. And I wanted to hear it, have her, anything, and I wanted to hear her voice no matter what volume it was at. And so this message was just as she was, besides being a blessing, was an unexpected gift.
Thank you, Angela. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So often the people who went above and beyond for us that we can never forget. It's so special. Thank you. All right. Let's take a breath. Moving on to story number 3. Keeping in mind what happens here will stay here. It only happens once, right? Stories are here, they disappear, but we'll always remember what we heard. Let's bring up our third storyteller. Let's give it up for Michael Johnson.
Okay, how's it going, everybody? Title of this story is Gifts You Get from the Dying. And I was only 10 years old, so I didn't know what a gift from the dying actually meant. And I was flying from Denver, Colorado, all the way to Schenectady, New York. And for us, Schenectady, New York was an oasis. And for those who have been there, you might, yep, I see some eyebrows raised, for sure. It was an oasis because we were from a broken home. And we had a lot of tragedy in our early lives. My father was an alcoholic. My mom had some psychotic episodes. So normal for me was a castle. And when I walked in that front door to my grandparents' house, and that embrace of turkey and Thanksgiving, and my grandmother's apple pie, and the smell of the pumpkin pie that was spiced just perfectly hit me. And instantly I felt normal. And I walked into her kitchen, and she looked at me over her gold-rimmed glasses and asked for a hug, and I gave her a big hug. And I felt the softness and the cotton of her apron against my cheek. And she asked me a very important question. She said, "Do you want a cookie?" And I said, "Yes, peanut butter." And she gave it to me, and I walked with it down the hallway into my grandfather's den, holding it like an Olympic medal and nibbling it on the way. And I went in to meet my hero. My grandfather was my hero. And he was sleeping. He was kind of back, and the belly was bigger, and he had his Mr. Rogers sweater on, and his mouth was open, and there was some drool present. And I tapped him on the knee, and I said, "Grandpa, do you want to play chess?" And he woke up startled, and he saw my eyes, and they came to life. And he said, "Yes, I do." And so I ran, and I got the chessboard. I set it up, and he said I could be white. I was very excited. And I won, and I lost. And I won the game, but my grandfather's Parkinson had become so bad that the tremors had moved from his hand to his head, and his cognition was gone. So as fastly as he woke up, he fell back asleep, and I walked out into the living room to greet our other guests. My Aunt Sonia and Uncle Ellis had just arrived from New York City. They were dressed in very fancy, feathered, furred hats with long coats. My uncle was the third chair in the Metropolitan Opera. He played viola. And we sat down, and dinner was shortly served. Ellis was his name, and my grandfather's name was Theodore. And I remember Ellis with his big furry eyebrow kind of looking at my grandfather as he tried to eat some peas off his plate, and he couldn't quite keep them on the fork until they got to his mouth, and they would end up. And he was angry because my grandfather was his contemporary. And he leaned in and he said, "You know, Teddy, you should have stayed in New York City. You were one of us. You could have been something." And the kind of gas went around the table. I was angry. And then he kept going. I said, "Why did you move to Schenectady? It's a terrible decision. New York Philharmonic, Boston Pops, Radio City Music Hall, Chattanooga Orchestra, all those things were yours, and he came up here. What a waste." My mom correctly identified Ellis as a fucking asshole. At this, my grandfather pulled himself back from the table, tried to stand up the best he could, and then I guess he tried to run in his head, but it looked more like a toddler kind of stumbling away, running into bookshelves as he went down the hall, followed by my grandmother, followed by my mother, followed by myself and my sister. And they all went into the den. I couldn't quite get there, and all I heard was my grandmother scream, "No, Teddy, don't do it!" And then I heard her say something I never heard her say. She said, "I give up." And she pushed past me as she walked out. And I peered around the corner to see what was wrong. My grandfather had this black case, his violin case, and his hands were shaking, and he was opening it. And it was scary because it was an 1849 French violin that sold for $80,000. So he pulls this violin out, shaking, and he puts it underneath his chin, and he draws the first note, and the tremors went away. And he played Mozart. And I don't want to say the pain and the remorse and the gravity of the situation left the room with the music, but it was slowly dissolved by that sound, and it was beautiful. And then my Uncle Ellis stuck his fat head around the corner, and he said, "You see, Teddy, I knew you were better than me, and now everybody knows it." Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Michael. Going for him. My grandmother used to sneak me little treats as well when I showed up. She used to do sugar cubes, like a silver, pewter like tray, and she'd be like, "Got a cube for you here." Well, one day she wasn't there to greet us. My grandfather was there. I went into the dining room and I was like, "Oh, there's the tray." Open it up, there's no cubes, it's just what I thought was granulated sugar. Just shoved it in. It was salt. I didn't do that anymore. That was wonderful. Great story so far. Let's keep it going. Storyteller number 4. Let's welcome to the stage Chocolate Shy.
Hello, everyone. My story is on the greatest gift that I've received. And I chose my story to talk about my life. I was born and raised in the south side of Chicago. And as a kid, I suffered a lot of abuse. It started probably around 4 years old. And abuse shows up on all of us different. And for me, it showed up as it made me as a very violent, mean kid. And that's who I thought I was For many years, I thought I was this violent, mean kid because of all the things that I had endured. I didn't even know who I was. I had no clue of the gifts that was inside of me that I actually came here with. No clue. And I had a chance meeting with a famous comedian who's an award-winning, Academy Award winner, Monique. And I met her by a chance meeting. She was having this auditions in Seattle for big girls. And I was bigger than where I am now, but I've always been a confident girl, and I really wanted to take the opportunity just to go and meet her, you know, from watching her on TV and someone that I had, idolized. And I went and met her, and she was the first person in my life that ever told me that I was funny, because I never knew what funny was. I don't even remember as a kid laughing or making somebody laugh. I knew that I could play the dozens because, you know, as a kid, you talk about my mama, we gonna have a problem. You know, you can't mention nothing about my mama, my daddy, my grandmama, no, none of that. So I knew how to respond to that, but I never looked at myself as being funny. I thought I was the things that had happened to me as a child. I thought I was this angry girl who had nothing to offer the world. I knew I could fight, and that's who I was for many years until this chance meeting with Monique. And out of all of the people who came, I was the only one that actually got to sit and have a real conversation with her. And we was talking about being a black woman living in Seattle, and she wanted to know how was it. And I was like, well, it's very hard being black in Seattle. The only time I see a black man, I gotta go work in the jails. True story. And she thought it was hilarious, and she said, I think you should do comedy. And I said, comedy? No, that's not for me, because I don't think anything is funny. She said, well, I think you should do something in comedy. And it went in one ear and out the other. I actually ended up losing my boyfriend a few years later, suddenly. And I never remembered in my life being so devastated of hurting like this. So one day, about a year after he passed, I had been drinking and finding solace, and just, I didn't even know what grief was, and I was stuck there. And one day I woke up and I said, you know what? I want to try this thing called comedy. I want to see what it's about. Because I remember Monique told me that I was funny, and I didn't think nothing was funny, but as she saw it, let me try it, because I was actually trying to save myself, pull myself about this grief. So I actually went to a friend's house who was doing an open mic, and I said, can I do some comedy at your party? And they was like, comedy? You comedy? I was like, yeah, me, I want to try it just to see it. I won't be so embarrassed, you know, around a lot of drunk black folks, you know. I mean, I can do this. If it's ever a place I'm going to get this done, I'm going to get it done there. So I went to the party, and I did my stand-up act, and what I did was just talked about the truth about my kids. Like, if I had to do that again, I would swallow, you know, and they thought it was hilarious, you know, and I was telling them I was a teen parent, and I didn't know I got tricked by my boyfriend when he peed in the bed. I thought he was drunk, and he had a pee in the bed problem until I had a baby with him, and, you know. But I said all that to say this, that comedy saved my life. I've been now a stand-up comedian traveling the country for 14 years. And I stepped on the stage at 38 years old, and I'm 52 now, and I look good. You know what they say about black don't crack. That's a fact. That is not a myth, okay? So don't nobody gonna get mad at y'all when y'all say it, because that is truly, I know I look good, and all the young guys try to talk to me. But it made me realize that there are a lot of gifts and talents inside of us that we don't even know that exist, because we let hurt and pain lead our life, and we don't even realize it because it becomes so much a part of us that we think that's who we is. And what I learned is that when I started dealing with the traumas in my life and letting it go and honestly forgiving, it was like all these gifts that I had inside of me started to float to the top. The more I forgave, the more the true natural gifts of love and laughter came up to the surface. So I want to share with all of us how important it is to be the change that you want to see in the universe. Be that change, and that love will always conquer hate. I'm Chocolate Shy, and I thank you all for your time.
Keep it going for Chocolate. Yes. Inspiring. Ooh. I got nothing to add to that. Absolutely. Let's just keep it going right away to our next storyteller. Let's welcome to the stage Jill Beckman Gaines. Welcome up, Jill.
Everybody. So do you remember that one kid in school who had the old dad? Like, you would be at practice after school, and then their dad would come and pick them up, and you'd whisper to your friend, is that her dad or her grandpa? Well, that was me. I had old dad. My dad was born on January 22nd, 1923. So that's 100 years ago this week. Yeah. In addition to being called old, I also heard him referred to as lots of other things too by my friends, like weird, strange, scary. He was tall, dressed funny, and was so painfully shy that he hardly ever spoke and he never ever smiled. Being a suburban kid of the 80s, raised by a man who grew up in a farmhouse without indoor plumbing, it was hard to see how we had anything in common. When I was a kid, my days were spent watching MTV and reading Mad Magazine. When my dad was a kid, his days were spent milking cows and memorizing the dictionary for fun. We couldn't relate on most things, but my dad did try. And one of the ways in which he tried was by signing us up for this organization that was run by the YMCA that has now mercifully been renamed Adventure Guides, but at the time it had the cringe-inducing name of Indian Princesses. It's a real thing, it was real. And Indian Princesses was all about father-daughter bonding in community with other fathers and daughters through the powerful and blatant tool of awful cultural appropriation. We had a dedicated group called our tribe. We wore native-inspired clothes, did native-inspired activities, and sang horribly unwoke songs around the campfire while the chief, who one year was my own father, wore a full-length headdress. Look, the whole thing was regrettable. But it did provide me with some of my most vivid memories of my dad. One of our annual embarrassments was called the Canoe on Wheels race, which was kind of like a Pinewood Derby, but 100 times more offensive. My dad was a mechanical engineer, so making the canoe car was always taken very seriously in our house. We would get our little block of pine wood, and he'd bring it out to the garage where we had our workshop, and he'd ask me what I wanted it to look like, and then he'd get out his lathe, and he'd start sawing and sanding, and then he'd hand it back to me when he was done, and I would give it the paint job. One year I threw him a curveball and told him I wanted a dog-shaped car, but he didn't protest. He just took out the lathe, and he got to work. It even had a little tail. The Canoe on Wheels race always happened right before Christmas, so they had this cute tradition where you would bring an ornament from home and hang it on their little Christmas tree, and then all the girls at the end would get to take a new ornament home. I don't remember much about my first Canoe on Wheels race, except that we lost every heat we were in, and I was pissed. I found myself alone by the Christmas tree pouting when I saw something on the ground that caught my eye. I got down on my hands and knees and I crawled under the tree, and what I found was a little penguin face and the remnants of its shattered body. And I realized that probably what had happened was that it was an ornament that some poor girl had brought from home, and it had fallen off of the Christmas tree and broken into a million pieces. I looked down at its cute little face and its cheery grin and its little red cap, and I started to bawl my eyes out. I felt so bad for this inanimate penguin that I became a puddle of sobbing grief on the gymnasium floor. Eventually, my dad came over and found me in absolute hysterics. I don't know how he calmed me down, but I do know that I watched as he quietly collected all of the broken ornament pieces into his handkerchief. Yes, old dad always has a hanky. He wrapped it up, he put it in his pocket of his trench coat, and we went home. A few days later, my dad came out of his workshop with his hand behind his back and a gleam in his eye, and he said, "I have something for you." And he held out his hand, and there between his fingers was the penguin ornament, painstakingly glued back together. It was all there, except for one little piece by the foot, a little chip that was missing, for which it earned its name, Chip. Looking up at him with that ornament in his hands, it was like the greatest magic trick I had ever seen. My dad, my weird, scary, old dad, was a superhero. After nearly 4 decades, Chip still holds an honored place on our Christmas tree, right at the top, right under the angel. You know, a lot of people, they show up by knowing exactly what to say. My dad never knew what to say, but he still showed up for me in millions of other ways, both big and small. I don't have any memory of my father ever saying that he loved me with words, but that's okay. I have a slightly damaged penguin at home to remind me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jill. And thank you, Chip. And thank you, old dads out there. My grandfather used to offer me his handkerchief when I was a little kid, like runny nose, whatever. And then I saw years later what he used to do with that thing. Made a weird connection. All right, we're gonna bring up a storyteller who's doing something a little different, and we're gonna get the prop to you during the deliberation. Let's bring up Daniel P. Quinn for his story. He has some artifacts that he's gonna include as part of his story, of his time documenting Montclair. So what we're gonna do is make copies during this deliberation at the end. We'll still do your story now, sir. You can come on up. And then at the end, we'll distribute that so you can take that artifact with you. So, it'll be something a little different than we've ever done, but we're excited to see it. All right, whenever you're ready, sir, the floor is yours. Let's give it up for Daniel Quinn.
Thank you very much. This is a story of Montclair from the early 1960s. And since we're at a film center, I want to discuss my story with my first film I saw in Montclair by Otto Preminger called The Cardinal. I was only in grammar school when I saw this film, and I didn't quite understand it, but I remembered the burning cross on a family's lawn. It was a Catholic family. I didn't understand why, but I remembered that. In the last 10 years, I've done research on the Know Nothing Party and Lincoln and Trump. And in America, the Know Nothing Party was very active from 1810 to 1861. And the Know Nothing Party was an anti-immigrant party, also anti-Catholic party. And they survived and prospered in that period. And they're the undertone of the Civil War with the Know Nothing Party. Little Fillmore was one of their postulants who endorsed the anti-Catholic, anti-immigrant policy. So I hear echoes today of anti-immigrant policies in America. and think back. I bounce back to a century ago as an echo chamber for what's happening now. And it's really astonishing. I remember also in Montclair, Grunnings was a great candy store in Montclair for decades. That is also now long gone. My second big adventure in Montclair was seeing Stanley Kubrick's A Space Odyssey at the Clare Ridge Theater. And before I saw my first film there, for about 4 years, it was a Cinerama theater. It had been built as a new concept in cinematography at certain theaters in America that would showcase film in a 3D format, based upon the World's Fair at New York City, which became a commercial venture for about 5 years in Cinerama. And that became the Clare Ridge Theater. Well, Cinerama failed about 1964 and kind of went bankrupt. But when they opened the Space Odyssey, the Clare Ridge Theater, which is here, the original Clare Ridge Theater, they used the size of the walls of the Clare Ridge Theater to build the curved screen out at 180 degrees. So Kubrick's film was like a 5-story screen that drowned the imagination of the audience in an epic style that was astonishing. And I think back today to the smaller version of what's happening in the Clare Ridge Theater versus what happened back then. It's interesting because also in Montclair, we've seen the rise and fall of bank buildings. This building was Investors Bank. And they left this building to move up the hill to another branch. When Olympia Dukakis came to Montclair, the whole theater company, I met her and worked with her in the late 1970s with her mother, Courage, and other work here in Montclair. And Olympia was an international presence on that stage in Montclair, an astonishing figure that was underappreciated in Montclair. So my experience in Montclair is seeing great things happen here, and great things happen but aren't quite noticed. But I want to mention her especially today because she was very important. And then the last 2 years, by accident, I entered some film freeway festivals. About 4 years ago, I knocked on the door outside, talk about my work, and I was turned away. I thought, okay, I'll try again. Because the Investors Bank person told me to go over to talk to people there because they might like my work. Well, it didn't happen till I got the notification came on Sunday to come tonight. So I'm now coming in the front door for the first time, so I'm very thrilled to be here. And I want to mention, just as a coup de grace here, that this work just got 5 Film Freeway Awards for Best Screenplay in Sweden, in Italy, and in Berlin. My other short film, Sacco Manzetti, got 21 Film Freeway Awards in Rome and Berlin and Dallas in New Orleans. My third project got 5 awards in Turkey and Kurdistan, adaptation of Sophocles' Women of Patroclus, The Death of Hercules. And my other project is called Newark, Italy, and Me. And that won 5 awards now in Rome and Berlin as a best feature screenplay, unproduced. So that's my story. Thank you very much.
All right, let's keep it going for Daniel Quinn. Nice job. Resident historian. Thank you so much. All right. We have 3 more stories. Stretch out. Get ready. Judges, be ready for deliberation. Let's keep it going and let's give it up for Carmen Casito. Welcome up, Carmen.
A half hour before my first writing group of the year started, my fiance called in a panic. he didn't think he could go through with marrying me. For the last 8 years, we've had this back and forth, will they, won't they drama that I feel kind of mimics Ross and Rachel on Friends, except in that case, Jennifer Aniston and David Schwimmer had really nice salaries and a nice sitcom rating to match. What I have is a beautiful engagement ring, the promise of having a family again, but also the very stark and fearful reality that 40 years old is only months away from me, not years anymore. When I was in this kind of distress and my mother was alive, she would instantly console me with a bear hug, a nice cup of hot tea, and the kind of sage advice that only a good mother could give. I could almost picture her saying, don't marry him, keep traveling, invest your money wisely, and maybe clean up a little bit more. She was my security blanket. And now I felt like a house vulnerable to a Category 5 hurricane. Even my dad, who was a cantankerous, much older, so yes, I also have the older dad as well. Even my older dad, when he was alive, even though he was not the emotional, fuzzy type, he would have at least distracted me during moments like these with Family Feud reruns. But now on this night, I had a half hour to go before my writing group, and I had a choice. I had scissors in one hand, and I wanted to cut myself. Not to die, but to just release the pain, that tight knot in my stomach, and the pervasive, all-encompassing fear that I would be alone forever. But instead, I chose Zoom, and I logged onto my writing group, which was an extra, but way cheaper, AKA free, therapy session for me that happens once a week. In the last year that I've been part of this writing group, we've discussed a lot of trauma, including personal loss, grief, homelessness, rape. As one of my colleagues there likes to say, we're a bunch of weirdos who just happen to have found each other. So at this point, I still don't know if my fiance and I will get married, or frankly, if I'll even want to. But I do know that my writing group makes me feel like I'm not alone in this world, and that is a gift. Thank you.
Beautiful, Carmen. Thank you. Writing as therapy. And I feel like you just got something off your chest. You look lighter, happier. That was beautiful. Free plug, if you tell a story, you'll lose 10 pounds. It's amazing. I also don't know I've heard anybody say Zoom saved me. But I'm gonna rethink that. Thank you, that was beautiful. All right, just 2 more stories for tonight. Let's give it up. Our 8th of the night. Let's give it up for Wani Tantillo.
Hi, how is everybody? I gotta move around. It's just my personality. Did you hear what I said? I said, you gotta get in the box. Wani, get in the box. We don't have much time. There was so much noise going on. I couldn't hear what he was saying. He's like, Wani, you gotta get in the box. I go, Tom, the box? You just had pretzels in the box. It's like this big. I'm not gonna fit in that box. What the heck? You wanna stay? So you gotta get in the box, hurry up, quick. Tom was the manager of all the concession stands and the bars all around this arena. So I needed to hide or find a place to not show myself in the intermission of the last 2 events so I could have the honor of being present for the big show, the final show. And Tom was my friend. We all went to SUNY Plattsburgh. And he said, Wani, get in the box. I go, okay, I'm gonna get in the box. So the box is like up to here on me, and it's maybe as wide as I am. And he just dumped all the pretzels on the floor, and he put the box on the floor behind the bar, and he goes, "Get in." Okay, so I get in. Then what do? It's like 20 minutes later. Then it's like 30 minutes later. All of a sudden, the lid on the box opens up, and someone threw 2 packages of pretzels in. I go, the FBI is here. The canine unit is here. They're trying to do security and do the sweeps to make sure nothing goes wrong. So now I'm eating pretzels, and they're going to smell a body behind the bar in the box. We all went to SUNY Plattsburgh. As I mentioned, we all had our Olympic jackets on. We had our Olympic hats on. We had our Olympic ID. This is the 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid, New York. 40 minutes go by. Finally, someone goes, "Come on out, Wani, get out of the box, quick." So I just rolled over. I couldn't get out fast enough. And I just kind of cleaned myself up, made myself presentable, and then I just walked out from behind the bar into the arena because I didn't want to turn around and people, it's like, where'd this person just come from the floor behind the bar? It all actually really began 2 weeks ago. My good friend Steve, we both went to, again, SUNY Plattsburgh. We lived in the same dorm. We worked at the radio station. We hitched Lake Placid from Plattsburgh, New York, to apply for jobs for drivers. They took our driver's license. We left. We had to hitch back to Plattsburgh. We ate our boiled eggs on the way that we stole from the dining hall. And we had to wait from the fall until January to find out if we were going to get a job. So, yes, January comes around. They tell us we're hired. We are going to be driving. We're going to be stationed at the Olympic Village. And we're going to get our coat, our jackets, and our hat, everything official. So basically, it was like the stormtroopers. Every SUNY was off. They were on vacation the same 2 weeks of the Olympics. And we all looked alike, but we could go to any event we wanted to. We just had to walk straight through and act like you were authority, even though you didn't have a ticket. Everything from the opening ceremony to the ski jumps, to the luge, to the speed skating rink. We had open access. It was just amazing. Turns out that Steve and I got jobs as drivers. We were stationed at Olympic Village, which meant we were right at the brand new facility where the athletes were living, in the middle of the Adirondack Park, which is like 6 million acres or something. And it's about 15, 20 minutes out of downtown Lake Placid. So we're on the night shift. So that meant up all day, going to events. And then at night, you would go, 6 or 7 o'clock at night, we would go to the Olympic Village, go through security. We would go hang out in this trailer. It was not very romantic or, very comfy, but the lights were dim in case you wanted to go to sleep. And the phone would ring. And they had told us the phone's going to ring. The country that wants you to come and pick them up and take them through Lake Placid to events or parties or whatever, they'll just say, oh, it's Switzerland or it's Germany or Finland. So I was assigned to Lebanon. Steve was assigned to be the driver for Andorra, and we did this for 2 weeks. The phone would ring, Lebanon, yes, that means I'm out of here. I get to go do whatever they want. I get to bring them somewhere, then I get to drive around. And it just went on and on for 2 weeks. Well, one night, the phone rang. They said, it's East Germany. East Germany, the driver wasn't here. I said, I'll do it. I have nothing to do. So there's like 15 or 20 of them. They were going to an awards ceremony on Mirror Lake, right in downtown Lake Placid. So I said, I'm going to go the back way because I'll avoid all of the traffic. Because it just so happened that the USA, the men's USA hockey team, and the USSR Russian team were competing and going for leading their way to the gold medal. This is the 1980 Winter Olympics, the Miracle on Ice, the big, huge hockey event. And I forgot to go the shortcut, the back way, and I'm stuck in downtown Lake Placid with 10 East Germans really mad at me because I can't get them to their awards ceremony. Oh my goodness, and their body language was more understandable than obviously their German language. So anyway, the box situation did happen. My friend did hide me behind the bar because I didn't want to typically you could get into any event you wanted to, but I just wanted to make sure I was in the arena. I didn't want to have to leave the arena after the first skating event. And he hid me in the box. There were canine dogs there. There was FBI, but I got to hang out at the front row of the ice skating rink with Chuck Mangione performing his big hit, Give It All You Got, 1980 Olympics. It was the best job, the best gift, the best everything. And the best part is presenting this speech to you guys, because I've never been able to tell this to the public. So it's really been fun, and my time will stop. Thank you.
Yes, Wani, thank you so much. Are you unwelcome in Germany to this day? I'm sure they forgave you. All right, we do have one more storyteller, but I'm going to put this out there, and there is zero pressure. If you are compelled by what you've heard tonight, and you have a greatest gift style story, we'll take one volunteer if you feel so bold. Think it over, no pressure. We'll happily end where we end with this next storyteller, but if you really are feeling the burn, we're happy to have you. So let's give it up for our final storyteller. Give it up for Raphael Bato Yaga.
Okay, so our theme is the greatest gift. For me, the greatest gift is parenthood. Suddenly you have a child in your life. But the role of a father is, well, complicated, and certainly full of the unexpected. The baby's crying had just turned to sobbing. He was shouting "mommy" in a plaintive, pathetic voice. He'd been doing it for half an hour. My wife was in tears too. We were behind the closed door of our room, lying on the bed. I was looking into her face, reminding her, we can't go. Remember the doctor's advice. We've been doing it all wrong. For the first year of his life, we went to him as soon as he made the slightest sound. My wife had anticipatory hearing. She could hear sounds before they happened. He's about to cry, she would announce, and jump off the bed and into the darkness. At first, we made the excuse that he didn't have his own room, and we were concerned about the neighbors. Our building suffered from vertical noise, the cause of serious disagreements among the tenants. But the facts were, no one had ever said the slightest thing to us about the crying. We were the ones it bothered, because we could not bear to think there was something he needed that we weren't giving him. Mommy! By looking at her, I could see that one more mommy would break the dam. He's got to learn how to fall asleep on his own, I said, trying to sound reasonable. The doctor said, did you ask the doctor about his own baby, she asked. Well, he does the same thing we've been doing. He doesn't follow his own theories when it's his baby crying, Mommy, Mommy. He was reaching a new level of desperation, and so was she. In my mind, I saw him imprisoned in his crib, holding on to the bars, falsely accused. This was his one call for justice. And we refused to answer it, his own parents. Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. She looked at me pleadingly. But much as I would have liked to trash the experiment, I held my ground. We can't go. And then he just stopped. The same look of fear came over both of our faces. Same thought entered both of our heads. Had he stopped breathing entirely? Had he collapsed in despair? We paused and listened. We wanted to hear something, anything, rustling, whimpering, Anything that would tell us he'd given up the fight but would live to take it up another day. We were like the citizens in a Western, begging for some sign as the gun smoke cleared that our hero still stood. And then it happened. Daddy! Daddy! Hearing it gave me a peculiar feeling, pleasant and painful at once. And then I heard myself say, I've got to go. I've never been called before. So I walked to his room in a trance-like state. He was my son, and he needed me. Sure, it had taken him a while to realize it. After all, he saw so much more of Mommy. Mommy fed him and clothed him and bathed him. Mommy picked him up when he fell, and Mommy was there most of the time. But now he needed Daddy. And Daddy was not going to let him down. The room was dimly lit. He was standing exactly as I knew he would be. With his hands on the bars, he was worn and tear-stained and toughened by the ordeal. I walked towards him to make amends, to reach down as his father and lift him out of his despair. He said 2 words, "Get Mommy."
Yes. Please keep it going for Raphael. Nice job. Oh, those tiny convicts, I'll tell you. What a wonderful place to be. Unless one amongst us is ready. Yes? Wow. All right, please step on up. This never happens. All right, please step on up. What's your name? Melanie. Thank you. Well, welcome. Make yourself comfortable.
Hello.
Let's give it up for Melanie.
Yeah, I really wasn't planning to speak today, obviously. So a few weeks ago, I guess first, who's heard of Brandi Carlile? She's like a singer. Okay, we got a lot of Brandi fans in here, a lot of Bramley, as they say. So a few weeks ago, I I had COVID in October, and I was like, what can I do to make myself feel better? I'm gonna book a trip to Mexico for a lesbian fever dream for Girls Just Want a Weekend. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I didn't know anyone. I just went by myself to this trip. And Brandi Carlile is like the lesbian queen. And I was like, yes, this is perfect for me, right? So I'm on the plane. I'm really nervous about COVID. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get COVID, whatever. So I get there. I meet my roommate who is from Sacramento, and I had never met her before, right? And we're in the room together, whatever. And I was eating in the dining halls, and I got a little bit of Moctezuma's revenge. I got sick, and there was basically a concert every night of the event, right? So the first night, Brandi did a beautiful set. It was perfect. The second night, there was different artists. Wynonna Judd played, Lucius, different artists like that, right? Every night, women and non-binary artists. So I missed one of the concerts. I was really bummed. I was so sick, and I was like, oh, why did I even come? I was looking at flights home. It was really bad. Then I decided that I was feeling a little bit better, so I went on a catamaran tour, and that was terrible too. And so I was just not feeling really great. So this was the last night of the trip. And I guess now is a good time to say that I also don't drink. So throughout the trip I had met different people that also didn't drink, which was really great. I went to an AA meeting. I just really connected, and it was a very alcohol focused event. It was all inclusive. They were pouring drinks everywhere. It was just a little bit isolating, but also great to have community. There's a song by Brandi called Sugar Tooth that's kind of based around addiction. I have this bracelet for it. It was really cool. So the last night there was this concert, and I got like up to the front with one of my new friends from the Sugar Tooth group, and I saw like Brandy, and it was like an 80s night. It was really fun. It was like 2 hours long, and after the event there was a pool party, and like it was so decadent. Brandy Carlo was like pouring tequila into. Does that mean time? Yeah. Okay. All right. Brandy Carlo was pouring tequila into everyone's mouths, and I was like, well, maybe if I just have like a little tequila and then like just spit it out, just so that I can like look at her up front, right? And so then I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna like sit here, like next to the pool. I tried to go in the pool. I almost had a panic attack. Like very, very hot and a lot of humans. So I sat on the side of the pool, and she came up to me, and she was pouring like different drinks into people's mouths. And she came up to me, I said, no thanks. And she kissed me on the cheek. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so someone recorded a video of that happening, and then like afterwards I was like, and so afterwards, like I could feel it on my cheek for the whole like half-mile walk back to my room. And I was just like, do I ever wash again? Should I? So I think like what I learned from that is just kind of like stay true to myself, find my community, do things even if my friends don't feel like it, because that was really great. And I've been talking about it to everyone who will listen for like a week. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Melanie. All right. What a beautiful gift. What a beautiful batch of stories. Keep that applause going. Let's give it up for all of our storytellers tonight. Yes. All right. Judges, if we could ask you to please head upstairs to our deliberation room. We will make sure the bar is open and ready for anyone who is not having dry January, but they do have non-alcoholic beverages as well, snacks too. Please hang out. We'll let them deliberate for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back together for the results. Our judges are about to announce our winners. Storytellers, we do a quick group picture and a picture of the winners afterwards with our judges up here. So please, once you have been announced, winners, of course, please come up when you are announced for your swag, and then we'll do a whole group picture at the end. It's a great community. This is a great night. Thank you all so much for being here. So I'm going to kick it over to Mary, start us off with our winners. Round of applause. Thank you so much.
So hard. Everyone was wonderful. Thank you so much for all sharing your stories, and we wish we could have picked you all. So I have the honor of doing the third place winner. So Angela Mullins, come on up.
Yeah, Angela, congratulations. If you would both stay up there for a picture. Yeah, show off that swag. Awesome. Congratulations, Angela. Yes, please stay up there. Ben, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everybody. I want to reiterate what Mary said, that it's been an honor to listen to all the stories, and we were really blown away by everybody. It was super impressive, so super happy to be here. And our second place winner is Carmen Casito.
All right, yes, Carmen. Congratulations. Hug it up. All right. You don't have to drum roll, but just do it in your head. First place,
Okay.
Emily.
Well, it was an honor to be here. We loved everybody's stories, and this person was basically the first choice for all three of us, but I think also for many of the people here, because this person got a very huge reaction, and I think it's because we can resonate with the baby crying. So Raphael, Bato.
Congratulations, Raphael. All right.
Thanks, Daddy.
First place also gets a year membership for free on top of the swag. And if we can get our winners to the middle, we'll do one more picture, and then we'll have everybody join us, all our storytellers.
Stand up straight.
Congratulations. All right, last shot. All storytellers, if you could head up front. All participants, thank you so much for sharing. Squeeze in, get comfortable. Thank you so much.
You're real tight.
There you go. If you're willing to take a knee, we'll appreciate you. Photographer fight. Go.
Thank you very much. Everybody over here. Perfect. Yes. Smile. Live it up.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out tonight. We have more Story Slams coming up. We have a ton of programming, a ton of classes. MontclairFilm.org. Please check us out. Come tell a story. Share it with us. Get home safe, and thanks for being here. Have a great night, everyone.